My first question is, you would hear many times from the fans that Mourinho is too old. I mean, not his age. His style is too old. Many fans are saying, and he's never changing his way, something like that. Do you agree with that? Do you believe Mourinho at the moment has evolved from his time in Chelsea?
That's a really good question. I think he has evolved a little bit. I don't think he is as argumentative. I don't think he falls out with his players in quite the same way. That's not to say he doesn't fall out with his players at all, but I don't think he's as confrontational is the word. I hope people will understand what I mean by that. But at Chelsea, when he was the special one, he was very confrontational with his players, and he could have big arguments with his players and freeze his players out and sometimes treat them quite harshly. And he did that at Manchester United a little bit as well. At Tottenham, I think it's been a softer Mourinho. He seems a little bit more relaxed. It feels like he knows being so confrontational with this squad of players probably won't work. So from that perspective, I think he is a little bit different in his personality. I don't think his style of football has changed a lot. It's funny we talk today because they just lost to Everton 5-4, which he will hate because that is anti-Mourinho football. And he's shown it at Tottenham that he wants to make them more defensively secure, and he's happy. He would much prefer to win a game 1-0 than 5-4. I know they didn't win 5-4 last night, but for instance, he would much prefer to win 1-0 than 5-4. We see it with the way they play now. You must have seen it with watching Son. They play counter-attack now. They soak up a lot of pressure. They don't have a lot of possession. And then it's bang, use Son, use his energy, use his pace, him and Kane, and try and score that way. And sometimes it's worked. They beat Manchester City, they beat Arsenal like that. And they were top of the table in early December like that. But then teams started to figure them out. And it's funny because the Tottenham fans are, I think, very confused by it because they really want to win a trophy. And I think they see that with Mourinho, maybe they do have a chance of winning a trophy. They're in the final of the EFL Cup. And they could go far in the Europa League. They're obviously not going to win the Premier League, and now they're out the FA Cup. But I think they think with Mourinho, they have a chance of winning a trophy. But they're not happy with the football. Tottenham fans like entertaining football. They like lots of possession, lots of chances. They used to like the way Pochettino played. And they don't like this football. So they're a bit conflicted in that they kind of want the end result. They want the trophy, but they don't really enjoy watching a lot of Tottenham games at the moment, I think.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but the real issue in there is, do you believe, honestly, do you believe Mourinho is the right manager for Spurs? Can he finish this season as top four with Spurs?
He can. I don't think he will. They certainly have a squad capable of finishing in the top four, and the league is so crazy this season and the results are so crazy that they could still do it. They're in touch, and it's so difficult to predict results at the moment. So tough to predict results. Who would have predicted Liverpool would lose at home to Burnley and Brighton? So difficult. But I don't think they will. I think that the top four now are looking good, and Chelsea now are starting to look good. Do I see them finishing above the top four of Chelsea? No. So I think they will probably finish outside the top four, which will be classed as a failure this season. Last season, they got in the Europa League after a bad start with Pochettino, and I think everybody thought that Mourinho did quite a good job. But then they could not finish in the top four, but they could still win the EFL Cup, which would be their first trophy since 2008. And then if they win a trophy for Tottenham, I think that's a successful season. I think Tottenham are not a club like Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, where winning the EFL Cup is a bit kind of, who cares? Tottenham don't win a lot of trophies. So if Tottenham win a trophy, I think it's a successful season.
But I talked about this with another guy who's following Tottenham as well. But in my mind, as you said, Spurs their motto is to dare is to do. They played attacking football. Even though they lose, sometimes even though they lose, the fans were happy if they see attacking, entertaining football, right? That's Spurs. But as we both know, Mourinho's football is not like that. He always regard result is everything. Yeah. He regards defense is more, more important. It's opposite. The club's motto and Mourinho's style is opposite. Then the question is do you believe Mourinho is the right manager for Spurs in long term? It's not Chelsea. It's
no,
Tottenham.
not long term. No. Mourinho was brought in because they just became desperate to win a trophy. They had got so close with Pochettino. They'd got so close to the Premier League title one year. They'd reached semi-finals, then they reached the Champions League final. They were getting close. They were touching the trophy and never lifting the trophy. And Daniel Levy just became desperate. And look, I still think it was a huge mistake of Daniel Levy to sack Pochettino. He was the perfect Tottenham manager. Even if they didn't win a trophy, he was the perfect Tottenham manager. But he became desperate. And in that desperation, he went for the guy that he thought, just get me a trophy. Just get me a trophy. And that's all they're looking for. That's all they're looking for. And there's no way that Jose Mourinho is the right long-term man for Tottenham. No way. But he is the man to try and end the wait for the trophy. And then probably they look to another guy to go back to closer to what Tottenham are about and to try and build something more long-term. But the problem is if they don't win a trophy with Mourinho, then they've wasted a couple of years and then they're in a difficult position. Then they're in a difficult place. So it was always a gamble. It was always a gamble to go for Mourinho. And I described them. I wrote an article this season. Like you say, they're the opposites. I wrote that they're the odd couple. They're this couple who you would never put together. They're, opposites attract. And that's why the fans find it difficult. I think Mourinho is lucky that the fans are not in the stadium at the moment, because I think if the fans would have been in the stadium for the Chelsea game recently, or the Fulham game where they drew 1-1, or some of the other games, I think the atmosphere would have been very bad for him in the stadium.
Sure. I mean, there are actually some talks from the fans, Mourinho out. And do you have any idea or information who would Spurs go for chase after Mourinho has left in the future?
That's a really good question. I think they will definitely go back to someone more like Pochettino if they sack Jose. So they would look for someone with good football. They would look for someone they believe is up and coming. So look, I think they would probably try for someone like Nagelsmann at Leipzig. Whether they could get like Nagelsmann, I don't know. He might be a bit too big for them, might be a bit out of their reach, depending on where Tottenham are at the time they look for a manager. If they can't get a Nagelsmann and they were looking in the Premier League, I could see them looking at Hasenhüttl at Southampton. He's going through a difficult time again now, but I think most people accept he's done a good job at Southampton, and he plays the football they like. He plays similar football to Pochettino, high intensity football. And obviously coming from Southampton, it worked for them with Pochettino. So they might even try for Brendan Rodgers, but again, can they get Brendan Rodgers out of Leicester? They've looked at Brendan Rodgers in the past before. I don't know if Leicester in the top four and Tottenham aren't, would he leave Leicester for Tottenham? I don't know. Those kind of managers, I think, much closer to what you would think a Pochettino type of manager. Maybe even Pochettino back one day.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say now.
Yeah, I could see Pochettino coming back one day.
Yes, sure. I mean, it's the question of how many years. Maybe perhaps 1 year. Too low chance, but I mean, anyway.
All right. I think Pochettino needs to go away and win some trophies somewhere. So maybe when he's won some trophies at PSG, he'll see what there is. But I do believe one day he will probably be Tottenham manager again.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you. And let me ask you about South Korean players now. The last two questions for you. The first one is, you must know the defender, South Korean defender, Kim Minjae, who was linked to both clubs, Spurs and Chelsea, both clubs which you are following. And then my question is, I even saw an article that saying Lampard himself wants Kim Min-jae, right? I mean, do you know any according to your source, what do you think about the Chelsea and Spurs interest in Kim Min-jae?
The Chelsea one I never saw as realistic. He's never been a player who's been strongly mentioned to me for Chelsea before. Chelsea are looking at defenders, but they're looking at defenders like David Alaba, Upamenko, Jerome Boateng. They want a sort of renowned, proven central defender to come into their backline. Kim, I'm sure, is a very good player, but I think they want someone who's proven themselves in Europe to go into their defence. So, look, the scouts might have watched Kim for Chelsea. They watch a lot of players, but I never saw that as being realistic. Maybe in the future, but not right now. Tottenham, I think there was some interest. People mentioned him to me with Tottenham. Look, I don't think he was Mourinho's choice particularly. Mourinho wanted Skriniar from Inter Milan and couldn't get him. And I think, again, Mourinho wanted what he would call a European proven defender. But I think there is club interest in Kim, and that makes sense because Son has done so well for Tottenham, and he is so loved that they would look at the Kim situation and wonder whether he could do something like Son has done, become a very good kind of bargain signing. They love that work ethic that Son has, that I believe they believe a lot of Korean footballers have. So I could see it for Tottenham one day. And I definitely think the Tottenham interest was real, but whether with Jose Mourinho there, I'm not sure, because I think if they were signing a defender with Jose Mourinho there, he would be demanding, no, I want someone who's played in Europe before. I want someone who has played in the Champions League before, has proven himself more. Mourinho doesn't tend to take too many gambles in the transfer market.
Sure. We both know about that. And right, about Son, we talk about Son in the beginning as well, but
yes,
there's also issue that there are a lot of talks from some time ago about his new contract with Spurs, but nothing is happening at the moment. Do you know any information about it? Why is that happening, or anything regarding his contract?
Yeah, I'm going to give you an exclusive.
So good, but lastly, do you have any information about transfer window? I mean, it's not a very ideal moment that we talk about transfer window in February, but do you believe Chelsea or Spurs has a serious target for next summer transfer window at the moment?
Like you say, it's difficult because we don't quite know what the financial situations will be.
Sure.
Because if the coronavirus situation changes and fans can come back in for the start of next season, then a lot of financial situation will be better. But we still have some idea what the clubs want to do. Chelsea, they want one big central defender. So like I said, they are looking at Alaba, but his wages are very, very large. David Alaba's wages are £400,000 a week, which I'm not even sure Chelsea can pay. They look at Upamenko, they look at Jerome Boateng, they look at all those kind of defenders. So Chelsea want one big defender, and they also want a big striker. Like everybody, they would love Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. I don't know whether they can get him. There will be a lot of clubs in for Haaland. His wages will be very high. I think maybe they will have to look elsewhere, but if they could have a dream signing a striker, it would be Haaland. So Chelsea, I think, will concentrate very much on one big defender and one big striker.
Okay.
There will be other little transfers probably, but that is their main priorities. Tottenham is a lot more difficult to predict because we don't know at the moment whether Mourinho will still be there. If they don't finish in the top 4, they will have to sell some players as well. Not Son, not Harry Kane. They won't sell those players unless Harry Kane asks to leave, which nobody says he will. But they will have to raise a bit of money to be able to sign players. And then I think if it's Mourinho in charge, they will want a central defender. He's not happy with their defending. He wanted Skriniar last summer. I think he would probably still want Skriniar. And then again, it's always the same with Tottenham. Can they find somebody to help Kane? Because Vinicius is on loan. He's not been great. He's been okay, but I can't see them signing Vinicius permanently. So again, they will look to see whether they can find the guy to help Harry Kane. But they've been looking for that for like 5 or 6 years. You know, you've been here, and they've never been able to really find it. So that's very difficult.